The average new full-size pickup truck price here as of January 2025 is $64,261. Let that sink in. This is indicative of what we see across the US right now. People are voting with their pocketbooks and they're not falling victim to these inflated price tags anymore. A twin turbo V6 and a hybridized option underneath the hood of that Tundra, and then we have a required mandatory four-banger underneath the hood of the new Toyota Tacoma here, a turbocharged four-banger. Quality has gone completely downhill and people, true Toyota enthusiasts, are upset with it. It was originally priced at $47,000 and some change. Now it is marked down to $32,597. Just over half of all new truck loans out right now are over $1,000 per month. Over $1,000 per month, which is absolutely insane. You would never see a bunch of unsold brand new Toyota Tacomas and unsold Toyota Tundras just chilling on the lot back when they had a naturally aspirated V6 underneath the hood and back when they had a V8 underneath the hood. Having just seen a jump in repossession rates of 23% this last year, it's really no surprise that people are no longer risking their financial freedom by buying a brand new truck. The rub for me is that so many of these auto manufacturers have priced out their target demographic. They priced them out of the market entirely. Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So a lot of dealerships across the US really screwed over truck buyers throughout the last few years. They took advantage of you left and right, charged markups on desirable trims, whether it be the F-150 Raptor, Ram TRX, TRD Pro trim, Tacoma, Tundra, you name it. They were taking advantage of you, and they were quick to do so, and they really had no remorse. But now, you see what you see behind me. Lines upon lines of unsold new inventory, the majority of these being 2024 units. That should come as no surprise, and I think these 24 units are going to be sitting here come May, June, July timeframe. And forgive me in advance, I have a little bit of a sore throat today, so it might be a little raspy throughout the video, or perhaps puberty is finally setting in. And no, this is not unique to my local dealerships here in Wyoming. It's Wyoming for Pete's sake. If any vehicle is going to sell, it's going to be a truck. You drive around town, all you see is trucks and large four-wheel drive SUVs. So even here, these are not selling, and it's largely due to those inflated price tags. People just cannot justify these $80,000, $90,000 pickups. I mean, here is a pretty good optic for you. The truck market right now is quite frozen. And this truck right here, well, this was a huge tool for dealership greed. Whenever a new Toyota Tundra TRD Pro hit any dealership lot during the last few years, that dealership was quick to throw on an addendum or an ADM, additional dealer markup, over that sticker price. These already come in at a pretty high MSRP, right around that $75,000, $77,000 range. When you start speccing it with running boards, tonneau cover, you name it, it can quickly become an $80,000 plus vehicle. That is before that dealership hits you with a $10,000 markup, which is quite commonplace during the last few years. And honestly, I find it quite comical because so many people were very quick to realize that this new generation Toyota Tundra was garbage. Plasticky interior, the turning radius is awful, a very synthetic driving experience with the hybridized platform no longer offering a naturally aspirated, reliable V8 option, but instead we just get a twin turbo hybridized V6. No thanks. And I forgot the most important part. They hiked that price tag up astronomically over the last generation. The last generation V8 Tundra TRD Pro back in 2021 had an MSRP of right around 54 grand. This one here, like I said, 75, 77 was quite commonplace. Then you have heaps of garbage like this GMC Sierra EV. This EV has a price tag of $99,000. 100 grand for this EV pickup truck. That's insane. And we saw it from a lot of manufacturers too, right? We saw it with the Ford F-150 Lightning, they hiked those prices up and they were quick to add addendums onto those too. We see it with the Hummer EV, but well, what do you see at every dealership lot right now? A whole lineup of them, unsold. People are not buying off on this whole EV pickup truck thing at all anymore. You know, it's kind of funny because now we're seeing dealerships do the opposite of what they've done in the last few years. They're now turning away allocations. They're turning away deliveries of their new pickup trucks because, well, they have all their 2024s still sitting here unsold. That has an adverse ripple effect though, because now they no longer need that new inventory, which ultimately means they no longer need to produce as many vehicles. That ends up with layoffs at the production assembly lines. We don't want to see that, but that is the unfortunate truth of what happens. And for GM in particular, we saw them really treat these GMC Sierra AT4Xs with the AEV package or the Chevy Silverado with the ZR2 Bison package. They treated that like pure gold. And man, did they charge you as such. They were quick to put their $10,000 markups on these for quite a while. They acted as though, well, if you didn't buy it, somebody else would come get it, and they'll take advantage of them. And they were just licking their chops left and right, and it was such a shame to see. But now I can tell you for a fact that this particular AT4X has been here for well over a month at this point, maybe even 2 months, unsold. Even with the discount, they can't move this inventory now. Can't say I feel bad. I find GM and Chevy dealers to be the most amusing to deal with right now. They're pretty set on their prices, right? Obviously, they often will have an advertised price of $8,000 to $10,000 off. Advertised, that's pretty typical now between all their rebates that they have listed out, mainly due to GM pushing these rebates to try to move that inventory, that 2024 inventory for the most part now. They're trying so hard, but when you go in there and you try to negotiate with them, they typically won't even go $1 less than their advertised rebated price. And that's pretty pathetic. Obviously what they're doing is not working. They need to get a little bit more creative and actually take a loss on those vehicles, because every single month that vehicle sits there, they're getting an added flooring cost. It's like an interest rate on a credit card. They're paying an interest on every single vehicle. They're losing money. But, well, they would rather hold firm to their greed than actually move the metal. And honestly, why would anyone come buy this used example of this AT4 heavy-duty diesel pickup truck here for $5,000 less than a brand new example over here? That $5,000 gets ate up pretty quick with the interest rates between used and new. The average interest rate on a used vehicle purchase right now nationwide is 11%. The average on a new vehicle purchase is 7%, and I can confidently tell you that the vast majority of these over here are coming with an incentivized interest rate of 3.9% on average. Having just seen a jump in repossession rates of 23% this last year, it's really no surprise that people are no longer risking their financial freedom by buying a brand new truck. The MSRPs, like I mentioned, on many of these heavy-duty examples over here are well over $80,000. And when you finance that over 72 months, you're still looking at a payment of $1,800 or more per month. That's astronomical. And if you pay that loan all through term, you're easily spending $110,000 for an $80,000 pickup truck, which is insane. Call it wishful thinking all you want, but something has got to give, and something has got to give soon. The prices of these vehicles have gotten out of hand and out of touch with reality. I don't care what anybody says. And when you combine that with the cost of living, the cost of groceries, the cost of your rent, your mortgage, the cost of insurance, over doubling in the last 2.5 years, it just doesn't make sense anymore. And, well, people are clearly voting with their pocketbooks. You know, the 0 to 100 speed on these Hummer EVs is astronomical. But that 0 to 100 speed was even faster on how quickly they became unpopular, right? When they first hit, they had a $20,000 to $30,000 markup on these Hummer EVs, especially that edition 1 or the first edition, if you recall. That had a $20,000 at least markup on them when they were coming out. Now look at them. Go to any GMC dealership and you're going to see literally dozens upon dozens of them sitting with, you know, huge discount flags in the window. 0% interest over 60 months is now the common theme for them. And even then, with the $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 off discount now, people are still not buying them. Pretty sad, huh? Heck, even the cost of mid-size pickup trucks has gotten totally out of hand. Many of these GMC Canyons behind me are between $52,000 and $60,000. Absolutely absurd for a mid-size pickup truck with the 4-banger underneath the hood, mind you. Kind of crazy, huh? You know, part of the problem is so many dealerships were trying to get high-trimmed examples. These higher trimmed with more bells, whistles, technology, and creature comforts, that is where the profit margins lie. These base model bare bones examples like a Tradesman or a Ram 1500 Classic, they didn't bring a whole lot of profit. There's not a lot of profit on top of that vehicle, but when you start stuffing it to the gills with all these additional features, that's when the auto manufacturer and the dealership alike have a larger profit window to work with. And heck, well, maybe that's why Ram actually cut the Ram 1500 Classic trim. They got rid of it because, well, they weren't making any money on the thing. And heaven forbid we sell a vehicle to the consumer that they actually want to use as a tool. Heaven forbid, right? But because of that, we are now seeing a lot more of these luxury segment pickups like what you see behind me. This is a GMC Sierra 3500 heavy-duty diesel Denali Ultimate Edition. It's a mouthful, and that price tag, well, you're paying for that mouthful there. $104,000 for this particular example. $104,000. Since when do you need to spend 6 figures to buy a heavy-duty diesel pickup now? I hate that that has become our new norm, but the profit margin on this, compared to a bare bones base example, or even that Elevation over here, the GMC Sierra Elevation trimmed one, the profit margin is astronomical between the two of them here. And I would argue that this previous generation Toyota Tundra here epitomizes what most truck owners want out of their truck, right? It is a very reliable, simplistic, and affordable option. At least it was, right? Has a 5.7 liter V8 underneath the hood, easier to work on compared to that complex twin turbo hybridized V6 over there. This is easier to work on. A very simplistic design, in and out, and reliable. Most importantly, reliable, right? And the price point? $45,000 to $54,000 depending on the trim. It was very realistic for most Americans. Most blue-collar working class, they can afford this truck without breaking the bank. Not so much with the $77,000 TRD Pro over there. I'm over here at a Subaru dealership. The Subaru dealership is offering this used 4th generation Toyota Tacoma 2024 here, several thousand miles on it. There is no way they're going to have much luck selling this. With current interest rates being the way they are, and brand new examples over at the Toyota dealership coming at a $6,000 to $8,000 off discount off MSRP, they got to sell this for pennies on the dollar if they're actually going to move the inventory here. With a 4-banger underneath the hood, lacking quality control coming out of Mexico, not a whole lot of people are clamoring for this, and rightfully so. And I'd like to highlight this Jeep Gladiator on purpose. Jeep is now advertising brand new Jeep Gladiators with a 20% off discount. 20% off MSRP is now advertised, brand new. So good luck trying to sell a used example right now because, well, those new ones aren't moving at all. In fact, there's over a 400-day days on lot inventory time. That's the average right now nationwide, just over 400 days for brand new Jeep Wranglers and Jeep Gladiators. People are just not buying these. And not to mention, if they're able to offer a 20% off discount on these, what kind of profit margin were they trying to run on them? Kind of concerning, right? I would wager that they're going to be able to push that to 30-35% before they need to go belly up. Heck, it wasn't even that long ago that the Honda Ridgeline here was coming with a $5,000 to $10,000 markup on it. We just recently seen how Honda and Nissan are now merging along with Mitsubishi. What does that say? They're really trying to compete with China right now. China is able to pump out a ton of vehicles and really oversaturate markets and ultimately win over market as such. It's a shame that Honda is trying to beat them in that regard because what does that mean? They're now pursuing quantity over quality. And I think the same can be said for so many vehicle manufacturers, and that's a total shame in my opinion. That's especially sad for Honda because Honda has always been known for exceptional reliability, right? Their fit and finish has always been second to none. The Japanese have always taken tremendous pride in building very well put together vehicles that would just last, right? And if we start trying to compete with China, man, we are distancing ourselves so much from those original core values. And we see it with Toyota as well, right? We're just trying to pump out quantity over quality, and that's a shame. And I know I say it often, but the Nissan Frontier and the Nissan Titan, although going away right now, this truly is the last of its kind. They really are. They're still remotely affordable, and they still offer a very reliable, naturally aspirated power plant underneath the hoods. We have a 3.8 liter naturally aspirated V6 underneath the Frontier, and we have that 5.6 liter V8 underneath the Titan. But again, they're going to be gone very soon. Oh look, another $100,000 EV pickup, the Silverado EV Edition 1 RST. No thanks. I wish I can show this to you in a clear fashion here, but this 2017 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro was originally priced at $47,000 and some change. Now it is marked down to $32,597. If they truly priced it at $47,000 some change, that'd be the most sickening price tag I've ever seen on a truck with 145,000 miles on it. Not to mention, what is it, 8 years old at this point? That's pretty pathetic. We talked about the average new vehicle purchase price being $48,405 in 2024. That's the average new vehicle purchase price. The average new full-size pickup truck price here as of January 2025 is $64,261. Let that sink in. Over 64 grand is the average price for a new truck. Kind of crazy. Here's a sad duo for you. The Ram in particular, 1500, 2500, and 3500 pickups, they have an over 460-day average days on lot time right now. Brand new units is what I'm talking about. So good luck selling a used example unless they're going to slash that price 40 to 50% off its original MSRP. You're just not going to sell that thing. Here, the Toyota Tundra, do you remember it wasn't that long ago when they issued that large safety recall of the main crankshaft bearing, losing motive power? A lot of dealerships weren't actually accepting the Tundra in on trade during that time. There's a large chunk of time where they're just refusing to take them because they were a liability. Well, that didn't stop them from selling them to people, of course, but they didn't want to take them in on trade. So good luck selling a used Tundra with that very complex, very compromised twin turbo V6 underneath the hood next to that Ram there that has almost a year and a half new days on lot time. No thanks. Guys, I hope you're sitting down for this news, but a whole nother month has gone by without this dealership being able to sell this F-250 Lariat with the Black Widow package. I know it's a shock, especially with the bargain price tag of just over 92 grand. Come on, somebody is bound to buy this by now. And with the average new truck purchase price being just over 64 grand, it really should come as no surprise that just over half of all new truck loans out right now are over $1,000 per month. Over $1,000 per month, which is absolutely insane. Now the rub for me is that so many people buy a new pickup, especially heavy duty trucks, with the intent of using it for work, right? It's a tool to some degree. And it's really hard to justify it as a tool when that price tag is astronomical, right? They've gotten out of touch with reality, and that for me is the rub. When you combine that huge monthly payment with a huge monthly insurance premium, it just becomes unjustifiable in my opinion. You know, people have clearly caught on to the fact that a lot of vehicle manufacturers are just lessening the quality, pumping out higher quantity, and still charging you more for it. The Toyota Tacoma is a prime example of that. This is the previous generation, third generation Toyota Tacoma behind me. It does have a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 underneath the hood. This was, I would argue, the last reliable, last true Toyota Tacoma. Because now we just are forced with a turbocharged 4-banger Toyota Tacoma over there, built entirely out of Mexico, where Toyota saves over 80% on labor costs as compared to what they were paying in Texas, San Antonio, Texas, where they were building them before. But now they save tremendously on labor costs. They've lessened that quality overall, and they hiked up that price tag 25 to 30% over this generation here. So outsourced entirely to Mexico, save a ton of money, and charge you more. That checks, right? Although it truly does pain me to say it, I do firmly believe that Toyota pickups are the biggest disappointment of this decade. And I think that's going to continue to be the case. Unfortunately, Toyota has notoriously always followed political winds in North America, right? They would always kind of follow what any kind of administration would be pushing, what kind of initiatives, what kind of credits were being offered, and they would generally kind of follow that. And that has proven to their detriment, especially with their Tundra and their Tacoma here, right? These two trucks here are a huge upset for Toyota enthusiasts. You have a twin turbo V6 and a hybridized option underneath the hood of that Tundra, and then we have a required, mandatory 4-banger underneath the hood of the new Toyota Tacoma here, a turbocharged 4-banger. Quality has gone completely downhill, and people, true Toyota enthusiasts, are upset with it. You're always going to have fanboys. They're going to hype the brand no matter what, right? That's going to be any manufacturer. But this here, you would never see a bunch of unsold brand new Toyota Tacomas and unsold Toyota Tundras just chilling on the lot, back when they had a naturally aspirated V6 underneath the hood, and back when they had a V8 underneath the hood. Heck, I even have a freaking, I'm repping the swag. I love Toyota, and I always have, but this right here, this ain't it. When has Toyota ever offered a brand new redesigned SUV or truck and immediately had them sit and collect dust on dealership lots across the country? Really never. This brand new Toyota Tacoma is new for 2024, and already immediately right out of the gate the excitement was gone because people quickly realized that it was wildly overpriced for what you're getting, right? This is a huge disappointment for a number of reasons. Same goes for the Tundra. We talked about it plenty. But now we're seeing dealerships have to force $6,000 to $8,000 off discounts in order to even have a chance at moving this metal for the Tacoma, and $8,000 to $12,000 off the Tundra over there if they want any chance of moving that inventory. And even then, it's proving unsuccessful for them. So I find it quite shameful, and I really hope that Toyota makes a positive shift back to their original core values of the brand, of the company, and really earn back the business of some of the true Toyota enthusiasts. Not to mention, Toyota did a very poor job at managing their dealerships during the pandemic times. So many Toyota dealerships were among the worst. And obviously I'm an enthusiast, so maybe I'm most aware of it because I witnessed it firsthand, but so many Toyota dealerships were so quick to take advantage of you. So many Toyota dealers were so greedy in charging markups during the pandemic, and now look at them. They're wishing that they hadn't flicked their customers like boogers like during the pandemic, and they wish they maybe would have treated them nicely, because maybe they'd have a little bit more loyalty from them at this point when they really need them most. I do find it quite comical that so many auto manufacturers and dealerships alike are backpedaling like crazy now. They're trying so hard to discount their inventory and really push it on people, but they're pushing it on people that they've already pushed away. So good luck with that. I just geeked out pretty hard and added up the average sale price of each of these Tundras here, and it is $64,300 and some change. 64 grand is the average price tag of this small lineup here, and none of these are actually the iForce Max. The iForce Max adds the hybridized battery pack to it, which would up the price tag 5 to 7 grand in and of itself. Kind of crazy, huh? I just added up the average of this lineup of Toyota Tacomas. Mind you, none of them are a top trim example by any means. The average was $49,200. None of these are the Trail Hunter. None of these are the TRD Pro, both of which come with an MSRP of $67,000 plus. Pretty shameful, huh? Now, obviously, auto insurance premiums differ person to person based on your driving history and your record, right? But pretending you have a good driving record, you're going to be spending anywhere from $2,400 to $2,800 for full coverage on a brand new Ford F-250 here, okay? With the price tag of about 80 to 85 grand. Maybe a medium spec one, because they can get up over 100 grand pretty easily if you add a tremor package, make it a limited, blah, blah, blah. But on average, about $2,400 to $2,800 for the annual coverage. Just 5 years ago, that same coverage, we're talking $1,100 to $1,300 for that annual insurance premium. Pretty crazy how times have changed. And the crazy priced midsize pickup truck saga continues with the Ford Ranger here. Many of these examples are between that $49,000 and $55,000. If you get a Ranger Raptor, you're looking at about $60,000. 40% of all EV owners are upside down on their auto loans right now. And that's certainly the case for anybody who bought an F-150 Lightning, right? Remember when these came out, they had that $10,000, $20,000 markup on them? Now, you can see discounts of up to $25,000 off between government subsidies, tax credits, green credits, carbon credits, whatever you want to call it, and dealer discounts. They're doing anything they can to try to sell these trucks, and still, people don't want them. We talked about it before, but the F-150 here is America's best-selling pickup truck, right? And for the 48th consecutive year. Kind of wild. But when you look at how much they produce compared to the competition, it really isn't much of a surprise, right? If you throw a bowl of spaghetti at the wall, it's going to be no surprise that you hit the target. But honestly, as you look at many of these, most of these unsold 2024 units here have the EcoBoost. Right? The V8 options actually sell fairly quick from what I'm told and what I've seen here personally at my local dealership. It's the EcoBoost or the turbocharged V6s is what people are not buying, which isn't too much of a surprise because when I think blue collar working class, they want reliability, they want simplicity, and that comes with a naturally aspirated platform. Not so much with a turbocharged V6. And you guys know I make videos like this all the time, and I can honestly tell you that much of this inventory here has not moved in the last 2-3 months. And it goes really as far as the eye can see here, right? It's just not getting much better for this dealership. I mean, this is not unique to my local dealership. I want to make that very clear. This is indicative of what we see across the US right now. People are voting with their pocketbooks, and they're not falling victim to these inflated price tags anymore. Alright guys, we'll wrap up the video there. As always, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune in these videos. If you find any kind of value whatsoever, I do respectfully request that you please consider liking and subscribing. Your support means a lot, and it certainly doesn't go unnoticed. Obviously, there's a lot of people on YouTube making very similar videos claiming to be experts on it. I'll never claim to be an expert on this. I will tell you that it does really align with my personal passion of following the auto industry and the auto market at large. I do have a PhD in industrial and organizational psychology. I don't say that to beat my chest, but I say it because everybody online is a quote-unquote expert, and I just want to give that to you guys. I'm still learning, and I'm learning with you, and I like sharing it with you. So hopefully some of you really appreciate that. So as always, I do sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune in. Until next time.